Okay. So you're talking about game feel, and you're talking
I'm
about
talking about game feel.
and when that bugs you in a lot of ways, and it brings a story to mind. Now, this is one that a lot of people I know are nostalgic for, but I gotta just preface that
I know what you're going to talk
I
about.
don't have it. Yeah, they announced the new Budokai Tenkaichi game, and they showed off a trailer where Goku goes Super Saiyan 4, and I get it. A lot of people grew up playing that as their childhood bit, and I get that. I get that. It's just not that to me, though. Unfortunately, it ain't that to me. And I know. Some people are just like, hey, man, that's my memories of playing Dragon Ball as a kid. And I'm like, all right. To me, the Budokai games came along. Originally, those were like the fighting, side-scrolling, side camera games, which were also kind of like they're a bit slow with their pacing, but all Dragon Ball games kind of were really for a long time. Fighters solved a lot of that, and Fighter exists as a like, hey, someone did it at some point. But you go back to those games, and you get a game where you kind of have a simple combo system and a couple of like mini game interactions of like knocking the character around and doing a little, RPS mini game and stuff like that. When I remember too, there was fun things like the story mode where it was like, oh, aim the special beam cannon so that you can shoot Raditz right through and get Goku at the same time and stuff. Anyway, I just remember when the Tenkaichi games came out, and it was like, okay, we're gonna do them third person now, and they're gonna be like
Over the shoulder.
over the shoulder, and it's gonna be about like having the feeling of a third person action game with a Dragon Ball fighting type thing, and it just was not
Felt great.
it was not what I wanted, man.
It felt cool because you felt like you were flying around as Goku.
I remember the basic thing of like right off the bat, you sort of, and here's the thing, like I remember I didn't follow up through the sequels, that continued after that. It was a bit of it was kind of like when Naruto jumped over to Ultimate Ninja Storm, and I got used to the Gekido Ninja Tyson games or whatever. But in this case, the main thing was I just remember Tenkaichi was like, okay, you see the character from the back, and then the first thing was you're gonna spend most of the fight with the enemy off camera, and like finding them was part of the deal, part of the mechanic, and then you lock on and you get that like, there he is, right? But there's a whole bunch of it where you're just really like the camera's not strategically placed. It's like you're fully blocking it in a way, and you're going to be looking left or right, and you're going to be like looking for them behind walls and behind things, and there's a whole lot of like, where is the target? It's way over there behind that wall or so, and then you have to kind of like break through and then get up to them.
Let me ask you a question. Were you playing this
multiplayer
multiplayer?
was split screen, wasn't it? Right?
I don't even remember.
Because I want to say that they when they did that, they did it split screen. But I just remember like trying. It's been so long that I think I tried that, and I think I just tried single player as well because I wanted to see like what the next Budokai game was gonna be. The switch between the switch to third person camera and the making it more of that kind of third person gameplay, it just added a level of clunkiness to the camera and to the feel of the game that I really just didn't enjoy. And I guess I kind of was also just like, it's not really it's Budokai, but it's not Budokai. It's a new franchise, and I was like, okay, well, it wasn't for me. I wanted something that felt much more, I guess, smooth and immediate while being third person. Virtual On is a great example of how that feels. I even remember really enjoying. I'm going to bring that up, Bid for Power, because that was a third person Quake engine based Dragon Ball game, and that kind of had fast paced, moving, flying, dashing in and stuff that didn't kind of have what I'm talking about here. There's a whole lot of like stopping and like looking and moving in blind directions in Tenkaichi that I remember.
You only played the first one, right?
Yeah, I played the first one.
Because the second and third genuinely mitigated a lot of the issues you're
So
having.
that's to reiterate. I didn't follow through with the rest of the series at that point. But I just remember that kind of being like a bummer and a bit of a buzzkill. And I was like, okay, well, that's not what I want out of a Dragon Ball game, you know. And that was pretty much that. So it went on to then kind of become the thing where most people, when they think back to Dragon Ball games and talk about them nowadays, I only hear BT being referenced. I don't hear anyone talk about the original Budokai in the same way that when Naruto games get talked about, it's only Ultimate Ninja Storm. It's not the ones.
Yeah. So
that,
here's the way that I always saw
I get it.
So like I think these games fucking rule. Like when I said they felt great, like that was not sarcasm at all.
Okay.
Like it absolutely is. Like no, it's not a serious fighting game. It's a fucking Goku simulator.
Okay.
And it is a less serious game, and it is about like I want to fucking fly around and do the thing as the fucking Goku. When I think to Budokai 3 and Tenkaichi 3, I'm like Budokai 3 is like a okay fighting game that has a bunch of Dragon Ball characters in it. And Budokai Tenkaichi 3 that's a fucking Goku simulator where I can pretend I'm playing fucking Goku and has the gigantic stupid ass roster that those games always had.
Is Kakarot a Goku simulator?
What's that?
Is Kakarot a Goku simulator?
No, it's the fucking Dragon Ball story thing. Who gives a shit?
Okay.
I want to fly around and fucking charge up and see all the fucking bars go up, and then I do the Goku, and then I hit the button, and then I fucking go to the side so I can dodge the bullshit, and then I'm the Goku.
Does Xenoverse replace Tenkaichi?
Fuck no, absolutely not.
Okay.
Xenoverse replaces Budokai.
Is it more of a third-person game than it is a side view perspective?
Well, I don't know what game you're referring to right now.
The Xenoverse, Dragon Ball.
Xenoverse is kind of splits the difference between the two, but like no, Xenoverse is not.
Xenoverse, yeah, Xenoverse is like it's kind of like Ultimate Ninja Storm in that it's like third-person, a little bit of both. It's not quite full split. Yeah. I remember thinking
Xenoverse is not good. Xenoverse just has more characters.
I remember that. So I remember when I kind of saw it, I guess I was like the thing that would have not like I initially was just like, okay, well I mean, especially back then I was like, yo, I like fighting games. I want things to be like that more than I want them to be third person. These years on, I'm kind of looking at it going, well, I also remember too, like it wasn't quite like Zoe where like the camera is here, you're always going to see both characters and you're going to fight and fly towards each other in that way. And if the games after one didn't have that problem and they fixed a lot of those, then I didn't play those. I missed out on that. But I'm talking about
Tenkaichi 3 is the Resident Evil 4 of Dragon Ball games.
I also, the only other memory I have is because you remember one then having this shit I'm talking about, right? Like there was a bunch of clunk with that. And
it's their first try on a weird new system, and I think they were the first ones to do the like pseudo fighting game behind the back kind of camera.
And
so you kind of gave it a free pass because it's like, well, this is interesting at least.
And the one other thing I remember is I want to say that I believe the Wii game was in the office for testing way back in the day. And like the whole motion controls for doing a Kamehameha, just nothing fucking worked. But it was one of those projects I was not on. But I remember, I seem to remember other people being on it, and it was just another case in point of like, oh god, the gyro, the Wiimote things won't work.
The fucking Wiimote.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're thinking of nice nuanced writing, dipshit.
Yeah, got it. Feel nothing but pity who think they're too smart for meathead shonen because they will die without realizing that unlocking a new form to beat the bad guy while hype music plays is in fact the apex of all media. Nice nuanced character writing, you fucking dipshit. Now check this out, and it's Goku going Super Saiyan 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I bring that up is that nuanced character writing in this example is deep fighting game, whereas Budokai Tenkaichi is I'm playing as Goku.
Now, if 3 doesn't have the thing is, what I remember is that it had a bunch of. Imagine if you keep hitting the brakes on everything you're doing, though. If 3 and upwards had smooth movement and everything was fast and fun and dynamic and doing what Dragon Ball does, then absolutely. But like the experience I remember with at least that first one was just one of like, yeah, this was like you have to stop, you have to look, camera pan, move up, do a thing, and it was not I'm fucking Goku. There was a whole lot of awkward pausing and
yeah, because it was the first game that used that camera in any series ever. That was the first attempt at that kind of camera.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing that I don't think we've touched on, Tenkaichi 3 has 161 fucking characters.
That I've heard about. Yes, like, the roster's just insane.
It goes hey, do you remember that fucking loser in the background of the one scene of World's Strongest? Here he is. Mm-hmm. You know, which is fun.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, I definitely want to. It's interesting to bring back specifically this franchise as opposed to announcing a new one, or because again, like obviously Fighters did its thing, and that's cool.
And Fighters is getting a fucking balance patch.
And if you're
that shit.
And if you're a fan of Fighters, then like yay. But like if you're just Bandai and you're like, well, on to the next Dragon Ball game, obviously, then you're like, well, yeah, and then we had Xenoverse 2, and then we had Kakarot, and then we had yada. So the next one is bringing back this. I would love to see, just like if it like does become that thing of in my head of like an actual super dynamic third person thing. Or if, for that matter, I suppose if 3 got to that point. But anyway, that's my
Tenkaichi so here's the thing. Here's the breakdown of your Dragon Ball games.
And it does historically represent a genre departure at that moment in the mid-aughts when I was also like, oh man, I want a fighting game. So there's that initial feeling from way back when.
So here's the breakdown, right? So you've got your Budokai games, which are people that are like, man, I wish Dragon Ball had a good fighting game. And Budokai has now been fully superseded by Dragon Ball Fighters, right? That is a 1-to-1 direct replacement. Dragon Ball Fighters is a fucking excellent fighting game that will soon be getting rollback, right? Tenkaichi is, dude, I want to play a Goku game, and I don't remember many people playing the Versus. That was about going through the campaign and getting to play like you're piloting Vegeta, you're piloting like Super Gohan.
Oh, were you guys not playing multiplayer at all?
I never knew anybody who gave a shit. Gave a shit about it. And remember, there was no online play, so it was limited to you and your buddies in the basement. Those are single player fighting games.
Interesting. Okay. That is not my what I thought.
It very much changes the context, right?
I didn't think that's what that was. I thought these were like multiplayers.
And then Xenoverse is for the people that are fucking morons and barely want to play a video game at all. They just want to see increasingly stupid new fucking custom characters from bullshit
Toriyama.
Like Cumbrolers or Dark Majin Brawler Cum or whatever the fuck.
Toriyama character creator has been a thing that like we needed for a long time, and this is the one that they actually finally made. But And I get that, because just like the fusing game or whatever, you're like, okay, but can I make a character that looks like they belong in the original Dragon Ball, or like Dr. Slump, you know? That's the main appeal, straight up, is my Dragon Ball OC gets to exist in this game. That's what they're trying to fucking sell you.
Well, I really want to point out, as I send you this screenshot, I did not invent the word Cumbrolers.
Cumber and Broly fusion.
That's right.
Of course, Cucumber.
Alternatively known as Cumbroler.
Yep. it's that's canon right there. Can't argue with it. Boy. Yeah. So no, that's exactly it. And I also knew over time as well. I've whenever Tenkaichi has come up, that like you're directly talking to the first Dragon Ball game that a bunch of people ever played.
Oh, absolutely. And
that's just locked in. There's no getting away from that. And you're like, yeah, fair enough. Same thing for the Ultimate Ninja Storm games. That's the first Naruto game that a bunch of people ever played, and that's all that they have nostalgically. So, fair enough, man. What can I say against that? But my history of it with in that case, plus the other things I've mentioned, where there were third-person games that like were faster and more high octane as listed beforehand, but they kind of, like they didn't really copy any of those per se. And I think so I guess my main question is in 2 and up, do you still, do you get permanently locked on and stay like targeting the opponent?
So I'm going to be very real with you, Woolie. I have not played this game in 15 years.
Okay.
I do not remember that being a problem in 2 and 3. It's not part of my memory. Okay. So I'm going to say they mitigated or fixed that.
Are you still kind of having like the characters in the distance behind a bunch of buildings, and you have to kind of like break through? Okay. Yeah. Because like smashing someone through a background thing is cool. But the idea of like them being lost and you have to go like find them is not as much,
So it's one of those things where I think about it and I can understand them letting that fly, because where'd he go is actually totally a part of Dragon Ball fights. Like where are they hiding? And it's like, oh, they were behind the building and they crashed through the building to get to you. Cool. Dude, when is Dragon Ball FighterZ gonna fucking get a goddamn? When's that patch? When's that happening?
I don't know.
Because like it's time to get back in. Also, I ordered a fucking Victrix, and then my fucking order got delayed by like a month because that thing is sold the fuck out. Darn.
Yeah. Well,
oh, dude, somebody in the chat, Last Hazard just nailed it. Budokai Tenkaichi for Dragon Ball was the exact same thing as Duodecim or Dissidia for Final Fantasy.
Okay.
Like, no, it is not a serious ass fighting game. It is a main character simulator.
And here, but the part that like really this is news to me, is that none of y'all played it against people, that you just played it against the computer.
Who gives a goddamn fuck?
Well, because it came like
I want my stats to go up, and I want to beat Frieza with the Warrior of Light. Thank you.
So I would say that I thought, as it was a Budokai game, that it was going in that direction, but then it turns out not necessarily. Right? Was Duodecim just do big Final Fantasies on the CPU style?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That campaign was enormous. Duodecim has like one of the best fighting game campaigns ever. It's incredible.
Okay. Yeah. I thought it was just like this is where the Budokai franchise is going, and the Budokai games were like, yeah, you play those with someone else usually. So, yeah. But okay.